Welcome back to First Listen, the new series where we listen to an album for the first time together. Today we've got one that's going to be very unique and very fun for us in Taylor Swift's Folklore. I would say that we're both not the biggest fans of Taylor Swift, so maybe our mind can be changed here. This is meant to be one of her best albums. I'm open to it. I've heard good things. Could be amazing.
I've never listened to any Taylor project in full other than the majority of the Tortured Poets department, and that didn't really hit it for me. But this, like you're saying, is one of her seminal albums, so let's see how good it actually is.
Let's put the headphones on and get straight into it with the first track, which is The One. I'm slightly nervous. This is strange for me.
I'm doing good, I'm on some new shit. Been saying yes instead of no.
To be fair, we're on some new shit listening to this.
Yeah.
Stop, I didn't though. I guess you never know, never know.
I actually quite like the way the bass came in there. I did a slightly different element.
And if you never bleed, you're never gonna grow. And it's all right now. But we were something, don't
Key
you
change
think
going into
so?
the chorus, maybe.
Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool. For never leaving well enough alone. But it would have been fun.
Even just off this first track, you can see how with the lyrics, people would instantly relate to it and want to sing along to it. I
Yeah.
can see why her fans are so feral.
In my opinion, I can't quite make heads nor tails of what the lyrics are actually trying to say at this point, so I'm going to carry on listening and see if I can figure it out.
One.
I really like that muted guitar that's being played on top of the piano. I think it works really nicely.
And it's another day waking up alone. But we were something, don't you think so?
Although the instrumental has been very laid back, I have quite liked elements of it.
And if my wishes came true, it would have been you.
Very, very samey throughout the whole track, though. It's not really swapped up at any point. There's not been like a big build-up to anything. It's just been very casual throughout the whole song so far.
Yeah, there's not been a moment where she seemed to strain her voice at all, but that's fine. A little bit more there. It's actually heard as...
Temptation to ask you, we were something, don't you think so?
I think it does a good job of creating a dynamic of sound with all the different instruments without going too overboard. Keeps it simple, but there is a bit of complexity going on.
That was the first track on Folklore, The One. What did you think? Try take all preconceptions, all judgment out of your mind when talking about this.
That's what I want to do with this project anyway, because I want to give it a fair chance. And I don't think that was the worst song I've ever heard. There wasn't a lot going on in it. It could have been a little bit more complex for me. I would have liked to build to a point, but maybe she achieves that later in the album.
I actually quite liked it. I liked the calm instrumental. As you say, the lyrics were quite obvious, if that makes
Questionable,
sense.
in my opinion.
But I didn't mind them still. It was okay. Let's carry on to Cardigan, which is a song I've heard of for some reason. I feel like Taylor Swift's one of those artists where I'll know some of the songs but won't know them by name. But I think this is one of the bigger tracks from the project, so let's see what it's got to offer.
Vintage tea, brand new phone.
Sounds more like Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, immediately like Lana Del Rey.
Dancing in your Levi's, drunk under a street light.
I like the kind of non-standard drum beat that's going on throughout this one. It is a bit different, adds a little bit of something to it.
I would actually say in that vocal section there, the da 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 da, like that's quite cool. It went really nicely with the instrumental.
She's got a good voice, hasn't she? I mean, she wouldn't be as big as she was if she didn't. So
You seem like you're in so much pain whenever you have to say something nice. It's funny.
And when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed.
she felt like she was an old cardigan.
On and said I was
The lyrics, like we were saying, the lyrics are so obvious that it feels like she's trying to say a lot without saying much. And in hearing her actual lyrics and listening to the lyrics on this project so far, I've kind of understood the people that like tweet out jokey Taylor Swift lyrics and make jokey songs that reference her, because they are akin to a bit of nonsense, I can't lie.
Well, to be honest, I won't go as far to say I disagree, but I think that they're purposely easy to understand for the masses.
Oh.
Like it's lyrics that anyone can understand, but it's, in my opinion, also written in a way where people can try extract other messages from it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can, obviously, it's like the old Cardigan message is very obvious what she's saying, something that's been left behind. But it just seems so basic to me. I feel like there's a better way to do it, but it's not Taylor Swift style. The way the vocals are slowly building up in the background of that section was nice. It's changed the song up a little bit. Although there's not much more, it feels like there's more energy here.
That line is terrible. Little cool outro there, though. I'll give him that. That I liked that kind of like fade out of all the instruments and the drums kind of just finishing off.
There were some cool elements to that song. The instrumental was nice. As you say, the little drum beat that was going on throughout kept it interesting. That section around the middle of the song where there was some reaching vocals in the background leading to a little bit more energy injected. I didn't think it was a bad song. I just think that the lyrics maybe let it down a little bit for me. I can see why people relate to it. It's very easy to relate to, and you can derive your own message from it. But it just seemed very one-dimensional.
It's very in your face. It's very, this is what I'm trying to say. And I know what you're saying about leaving it open to interpretation, but I feel like it does the opposite of that and says, this is what I'm trying to say, and this is the message you should take from it. But let's move on to the next track, which is The Last Great American Dynasty, depends how you want to say it. Let's see how it is. Loves a piano, does Taylor. Loves a piano.
I feel like we're going to be waiting for some extra energy in this album and it'll never come.
Similar kind of drum beat going on again. The vocal melody's good so far. I like it. She says dynasty. That's what we'll call it.
So far in this, there's been a lot more content. It's been quite an interesting storyteller in comparison to the first two.
A little bit of a mixture between a talking delivery and a singy delivery.
It's like almost spoken wordy, isn't it? I do like that chorus, though. I like it.
Yeah. Stole his dog and he died.
It just died at a key lime green.
Oh, I thought
I don't know if they're doing about the dog or someone's hair.
It died of key lime green. I was like, oh dear. Sounds terrible.
Well, she might have had a marvellous time ruining everything, but I would actually say that's the best track on the album so far.
Yeah. Harmless.
A lot of different layers in the instrumental coming in and out. The actual lyrical content was much better. I actually felt like I was listening to a story. Wasn't as much repetition up to the last little section there, but you always expect that. Yeah, I quite like that song, actually.
I felt like she actually let her pen go on this one and wrote something that was a bit more heartfelt. I don't know. Like I say, I'm not really a Taylor Swift fan, so I don't know if this was classed as a big song or whether it was an album track. To me, it sounds like something that she wouldn't have aimed to have been a big song because of the storytelling aspect. It seems like her big tracks are very obvious in the lyricism. With this, yeah, I liked it. Good storytelling. Decent.
It was definitely the best, my favourite so far. Before we move on to the next track, In Exile, if you are enjoying this video, please remember to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment with an album that we should listen to for the first time. Obviously, there's many that we've already listened to, but if we haven't, we might give it a go. So hit the buttons and leave a comment. Exile is next.
Featuring Bon Iver.
I like Bon Iver, so I'm hoping for good things here.
I can see you standing, honey.
Good dynamic immediately against what we've heard so far with Bon Iver's voice.
His voice is so deep.
It's not funny at all.
I think it's just in comparison to Taylor's very high.
In general, though, like
And it took you 5 whole minutes. You're not my homeland anymore.
even his harmonies with himself there are really nice.
Get your knuckles bloody for me.
The contrast between her voice and Bon Iver's voice works really well, though. I'll give him that.
Second, third, and 100th chances.
Very subtle synth bass in the background that I'm liking. It's crispy.
Didn't even hear
I was waiting for this call and response.
This is good though. Great vocals. He's kind of building up that tension, but I know it's not going to actually build to a big moment, but that's quite nice and peaceful. This is a bit more melodic. There's a bit more flow to this section. I like it.
Classic little fade out at the end, but it looks like it still goes on for a good 10 seconds after the ending of the track.
I honestly didn't expect to have enjoyed 2 songs in a row on this album. The last Great American Dynasty and Exile, both quite good. Again, they're very kind of what I would have expected from the project, but I think especially on that track, Bon Iver's deeper vocals mixing in with Taylor's were nice and effective. I'm missing that bit of energy, but I know not to expect that from a Taylor Swift project, so I don't know why I'm still wanting it.
No, you say that though, but Taylor Swift has a lot of upbeat songs, so we might find that later on in this project she does throw 1 or 2 in there, but I do think the general feel of Folklore is going to be that it's going to be relatively serene and quite calm. I don't think there's going to be that much infusion of energy.
One thing that they've used particularly well so far on the album is strings coming in and out of tracks. Really nice. It's quite rare that you see that. I mean, obviously this album's kind of old now. It's 2020, but in modern albums I feel like you get a lack of strings, whereas this has done it well.
And it adds such a large dynamic to the track itself, and I think strings and piano are always going to go well together, so to hear it done like this, and it's done well, it works fantastically. So
we're on to the next track, which from the title I already know is going to be a pure heartbreaker, as if the rest haven't already been, in My Tears Ricochet.
Oh my god, she's a ghost. Ah!
Even on my worst day, did I deserve, babe, all the hell you
This sounds like something and I can't put my finger on what it is.
loved you? I swear I loved
Summertime Sadness.
my tears ricochet.
Really nice strings again.
And I can go anywhere.
This has built a good atmosphere.
Finally got something to it. I feel like the last 2 tracks have been very serene. This has got a bit of energy now. Where is she?
She went in a different room then. I like that. That's a really cool effect.
And so the battleships will sink beneath the waves. Yeah,
I like that drop out there to bring it back in again towards the end. Nice.
how my tears ricochet.
I do quite like it when Taylor takes a lower note. The ricochet. It just, I don't know, something about the timbre in her voice works nicely. I do like it. I think I prefer her low singing over her high singing. A lot of these tracks have ended with just a fade out though, which I do tend to find as a cop out. It works nicely for this album because that's the style it's going for. But as a rule of thumb, if the ending of your song is just the same thing but fading out, that's what they used to do in the 80s because they didn't know how to end a song. So come up with something a bit better.
I would say though, on this song, the lyrics were a little bit better in terms of the one of the main lyrics was, I couldn't go with grace, so the battleship sank beneath the waves or something, which, like, when you read into it deeper, makes a lot of sense, but it seems less obvious than like an old Cardigan, for example. And the last 3 songs in a row, I'm actually quite worried that I haven't disliked this, because we said at the start of this video, I come into this as a pretty anti-Taylor Swift. I mean, really, most of that's from the Tortured Poets department, to be honest, and the overplayed singles in the UK. But this run of 3 songs, admittedly, not much energy, not a huge amount of tempo, but that track, My Tears Ricochet, did a really good job of like building up an atmosphere. She switched up her vocals a few times. The lyrics weren't as obvious. I've got to give her props.
Yeah, there was something different about this track that the other tracks hadn't brought so far. And like you were saying, I haven't hated these last few tracks, and the lyrical content is better. This track, the lyrical content felt a little bit more phoned in, but still decent. The last 2, phenomenal, but we'll move off this onto Mirrorball.
Alex Turner called and said he's ready for a battle. Ooh, there's a little guitar here. I feel like I've not heard any guitar so far.
It's like a reversed guitar with reverb.
Want you to know
This sounds classic Taylor.
This already seems like the type of track that live everyone would be like,
Shimmering beautiful.
Woo!
I can change everything about me to fit in.
She's saying she's a mirrorball so she can take in the surround, kind of like a chameleon. So whatever room she's in, she'll take in that because she's reflecting it.
a little epiphany there. You see that? That's good,
It's good.
songwriting
No,
though.
it is. It's good lyricism. I like it.
Hush, I know they said the
That
end is
hush. Don't really like that very much.
but I'm still on my tallest tip.
I do feel like we've heard that line too many times
I feel like
now.
this is the 7th time now.
And it's not particularly a good line.
No.
I'm on my tallest tiptoes. Is it like a ballet reference?
I'm still on that tightrope. I'm still trying
Something about you that now I can't remember.
to be. And still
Really sounds like that song.
but I don't know why. Have never been
Tallest tiptoes.
of yourself tonight.
Didn't hate the track. Thought it was all right, but very, very, very repetitive. I don't think there was a lot going on there. There wasn't a lot of dynamics. There wasn't a lot of change in instrumental. Lyrics stayed very similar throughout. It was introspective. I thought the lyricism was good. I thought the kind of analogies that she was making were decent, but it was very repetitive.
For me, this just feels like more of an album track. In comparison, since Cardigan, I'd say this is the lowest step down, but I actually probably still preferred it to Cardigan in itself. Decent song. The lyrics, repetitive. Let's quickly move on to 7, which is up next, and is the 7th track.
Crazy how the 1 was the first and 7 is the 7th. It's mad how she done that.
Please picture me
I don't think we've had immediate vocals yet.
in the trees. I hid my beak
This almost sounds like a different artist.
Cross your heart, won't tell no other.
Ah!
Though I can't recall your face, I still got love for you.
Yo!
Your braids like a pattern, love you to the moon and to Saturn.
Woo!
Pass down like folk songs.
Scrap!
Don't you think, though, that little rappy section, I can imagine people
Rappy section.
that-
Don't
that-
call it a rappy section.
That's what it is. It's like a little rap spoken wordy
That's
section.
offensive
Taylor
to
fans
rap.
would be like barring out, like full on shelling down for that.
Spin it back.
Reload.
Oh, some actual acoustic drum kit coming in there. Decent. It's kind of getting to that repetitive point again for me.
I think that the majority of the vocals where she's really seemed to strain her voice and hit a higher note have just been
Apart from these bars here.
every time though.
Can't recall your face, I still got
Or she's shelling again.
you. Pack your dolls in a sweater.
I don't mind it though. At least she's trying something different. It does. This song
This is what I was saying. She likes to play with how she delivers words, and she's done that a few times throughout the album. I think it does work quite well. It adds a little bit of a difference to it. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na.
That was 7, the 7th track. I think the only thing that really differentiated that to a few of the songs on this album was the drumming performance, especially in the latter half of the song. The drums made it a little bit more unique, a few different sounds in there to dive into. Again, this was okay. It wasn't offensive. If anything, I'd say the only song so far on this album where I've gone, was Cardigan.
Cardigan. Yeah, Cardigan's. I think it was mostly the lyrics that did it for me, unfortunately. But yeah, this track was inoffensive. It did what it needed to do. Felt very fillery, though. I didn't feel like there was a lot of content or dynamics going on. Like you say, I liked the drums when they came in. The acoustic kit came in for, I think, possibly the first time on the album. Other than that, throw it away, personally.
Track 8, which is called August, up next. Do you think that's because it's the 8th month?
8th month. I was doing the counting on my fingers. She's clever, isn't she? She's good at this.
She's smart with it. I love August. It's my birthday. This is one of the bigger songs from the album, so let's see if it's a banger.
Salt air and the rust on your door. But I can see it's lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time.
I know this.
'Cause it was never mine.
I've never played it before, but I know it.
August slipped away into a moment in time. 'Cause it was never mine.
See Taylor Swift fans really like the in a moment in time.
It's never mine.
I like that, the way it built up. I've got to admit as well, the actual like chorus section, I actually think that's quite catchy. I can imagine at a live show, people would be vibing to that. I think she's done a good job with that. And then already we're not even halfway through the song yet. It seems to have slowed down, built up, slowed down, built up. I can see why this is one of the more popular tracks already.
So much for summer love and seeing us 'cause you weren't mine.
Nice vocals there.
You weren't mine to lose.
And the instrumental's doing a lot. The vocals are good. This is the first time they've really paired in the energy.
Remember when I pulled up and said get in the car and then cancel my plans just in case.
Oh,
Like when I was living for the hope.
bit of a kick there.
This has done a very good job of injecting bits of energy throughout. I was expecting another little chorus there to close things out, but maybe not. Looks like
Like a bottle of wine. Waiting for that to come back again, but you didn't get it, unfortunately.
you sound like a top level hater there, though.
no more wine. Why?
Just
No, I liked
Oh,
it.
It didn't
What the
seem like you
fuck?
liked it.
Well, all right, okay. I was singing the lyrics.
No,
in
it
tune.
seemed like you were doing it in a sarcastic manner. Was all.
Well, that's just how I am as a person. So
All right,
you have
sorry,
to see
Bill.
past that.
Anyway.
With it being Taylor Swift, you know, you got to give it some grace in certain aspects. I feel like I have to let my preconceptions go. With that track, genuinely enjoyed it. Thought it was really good throughout. I thought a lot of the vocal melodies were really good. And like you're saying, you clearly knew it prior. And saying that it's a bigger track, I could understand why it's a bigger track. I could see fans really liking this song. We said that about a few of them, that you could see them being performed live. This one in particular, I could see her having a little 7-piece orchestra behind her, just actually doing it with live like musicians. And I think it'd work fantastically well.
Yeah, I know this track, but not because of my own doing. I don't know it well. It's never been on like a playlist or anything. But as you say, I can see why people would really like this one. And just musically, it was more impressive than I think anything else on this so far.
Like I was saying, dynamics through this one were really good. She has done a good job of dynamics throughout the album so far. This track in particular, though, really did a good job of having like peaks and troughs, as they say. So you had really high highs and then really drawn back lows. And I think it didn't just all of a sudden, there was that one energy kick in that I really liked, because she didn't do it 5 times throughout the song. It was just at that one point when it was nothing and then everything. And I liked that.
And despite it still being quite calm if you put it on outside of this album, it is definitely the most energetic we've seen so far. So I'm expecting it to go back down now with the next song, which is This Is Me Trying.
Either that was going to be straight death metal. It's one or the other, isn't it?
I hope it is. Imagine it just came in with screams. It's just got a weird church feel so far.
Gospel-y almost, yeah. You know who else likes gospel? The Heelmeister.
Not the Meister.
Oh, no.
I just wanted you to know.
Very echoey vocals that feel like they're coming from a different room. I quite like that effect though.
Wanted you to know.
Slight horns or a large bee.
All of these songs have reminded me of About You by the 1975. And hear me out, that came after this. So if anything, Taylor was the inspiration, but the way that it's built up that ambience and atmosphere with the trumpets and the strings and stuff has been so eerily similar.
I just don't think I like the effects on the vocals on this track at all. I also don't like whatever those horns are. Those... I really don't... It sounds like there's a large bee trapped in the studio with her. Works when she's singing. That effect on her voice when she was doing those talky bits. No idea what she was saying.
It feels like this had the elements to be good, but just hasn't matched
Feels
it.
unfinished almost. Not the one. Not the one. It was not the one. The first one was the one. This was not the one.
I would say that this is probably the worst track so far.
Cardigan's up
yeah,
there.
but still, the effect on the vocals on this could have been utilised in a good way, and it wasn't.
I think the effect on the vocals would have been good as a harmony for some clean vocals on top. I think it feels unfinished. It feels like there was another melody that perhaps should have been added over the top, and it's just missing something.
This feels very Jack Antonoff coded. I don't know if he produced this. I have no idea, but that song particularly really sounded like one of his. The biggest letdown so far.
The problem is there was so much reverb across every element of the track, so it wasn't just the vocals that had this ghosty feel. Every single element on the track had a reverb and a kind of echo to it, and it just felt, I don't know, it felt too echoey, too reverby. But let's move on to the next track, which is Illicit Affairs.
It was written and produced by Swift and Jack Antonoff.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That makes complete sense, though.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of this album was, to be honest, which is why I'm feeling the same vibes. But we're up next with, what does that even say, Tim?
I just said it.
Ah, cool. I just cut.
Illicit Affairs. That's what we've got next. How did you play that then? Did you press play? Where? On you? I didn't see that. That was weird, man.
Bro's losing it.
Yeah.
One Taylor Swift album and his lost comprehension.
Your head, keep your eyes down.
Just come back into the studio this time to record this track.
She's not just at Antonoff's house in his bathroom. I would say, like, we both said August brought us that moment of energy that we were looking for. So I suppose in the flow of an album, you would expect it to chill back out a bit now, and then maybe we get another high towards the end.
That you picked out just for him. So you leave
Whoa.
Where did she come from?
a dwindling mercurial high.
See, that was nice. It wasn't as aggressive, that first one.
Not a jump scare
Whoever
that time.
him was, woof. Taylor's not happy with him.
That's the thing about illicit affairs.
Don't like this vocal melody here.
I don't mind it.
Stolen stairs, they and you wanna scream. Don't call me kid.
Who was that fella in the background then?
Baby, look at this.
There was a bloke then. Very atmospheric again, very spacey vibes.
Call me kid. Don't call me baby. Times.
Was that the shortest song on the album so far? Because that felt incredibly short for a track from what we've heard so far anyway. I think it was very, very succinct. I didn't think it overstayed its welcome. I think that was probably the perfect length. I was starting to feel like it was repetitive, but it didn't overstay its welcome. Decent. I didn't hate it.
After This Is Me Trying, this felt like it was a return to the kind of blueprint of the album. It was okay. As I said in the track, I think it's still doing a good job of building up a atmosphere around each song. It's not a standout though, is it? It's just okay. We're kind of in, well, we say the closing stretch, but there's quite a while to go yet. We've got a fair few tracks. So let's carry on with Invisible String up next. Ooh.
That sounds like Two Step by Ed Sheeran's about to kick in.
Green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park.
Grass was green.
Used to think I would meet someone
Blue was the colour of the sky.
that you shirt when you were 16 at the yogurt shop. You used to
At the yogurt shop.
make a little money.
That must
Right.
be an American thing. That's
I was
got
gonna
to
say,
be an American.
I don't know if this is just a British thing, right? But we do not have a dedicated yogurt shop. I also love the yogurt. Like, it's such a fun way to say it.
I liked the
Strange choice
teal
of
was the
lyrics.
colour of your shirt. The first line to be green was the colour of the grass. It's like, come on, yeah, obviously.
The cow went moo.
Yeah.
You ate at my favorite spot for dinner.
It was a yogurt spot.
Invisible string tying you to me.
I think the problem with it is, and we've picked up on this a few times now, this album is obviously quite a few years old now, and we've had more Taylor projects since this, and the lyrics have, if anything, got even more simple. But like, I feel like when you say some invisible string, and then you have to follow it up with attaching you to me, it's just like, well, obviously, what else is the invisible string doing? Like, there's no need to spell it out like that. And a lot of these songs have had to do that on multiple occasions, and it's like, just let the listener try work it out and derive more from the song and get something from it. But I'm trying to take it in context of maybe this is where she really started doing that. I don't know what her earlier albums are like. I don't know what her later albums are like. Well, I do know what her later album is like, and it's very similar to this, but even more simplified. Maybe her earlier projects were a little bit less straightforward. I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you're a Taylor fan.
Cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boys who broke my heart.
Taylor!
She just threatened to murder
It's a
people with an
horrorcore
axe.
track now. What the fuck?
Was the color of the leaves when I showed you around Centennial Park.
How can you go to the colour of the leaves after threatening to axe them down?
Invisible stream, tying you to
She loves repeating these little hooks that she's written, thinking... Does she think that they're so clever, or does she just think it sounds nice? Because also, I really don't like the me, he, followed by the ooh, hoo, hoos. Doesn't do it for me. I think I've been very kind so far throughout this album. That track really wasn't very good at all.
It just felt like a bit of a waste of time,
It
really,
was
didn't it?
so boring.
And also, a lot of the tracks on this album are like hitting 4.5 minutes, or at least over 4. And I don't think there's a need for that. Every single track just has like a 30-second outro where nothing is said.
And also, it has the same part repeated 4 or 5 times.
It
where
right
you
at
think
the end.
You could just rid that bit and it'd be, you know, a nice succinct
It would
track.
improve it if there
Yeah.
wasn't as much time wasted.
Yeah.
But we need a bit of energy. We need a bit of summit here. The next song is called Mad Woman, which makes sense given she just spoke about sharpening an axe to use on her ex-lovers. So hopefully this is going to be good.
What did you think I'd say to that? Does a scorpion sting when fighting back? They strike to kill, and you know I will.
Why is she so murderous, man? She's so fucking blood
She's got
hungry.
really angry all of a sudden.
And when you say I seem angry, I get more angry.
I think she needs to go to therapy.
To be fair, I'll give her one thing, right? The Taylor Swift fans are very invested in her music, and I can imagine when she's singing a line about murdering people, they're absolutely loving it. But I didn't expect this from a Taylor project at all. 2 songs in a row.
Poke that bear till her claws go.
Although I suppose the track Mad Woman making us say this is again quite smart songwriting.
There's nothing like a man.
It is, because we're like, what the fuck is going on?
My cannons all firing at your yard. They say, move on, but you know I won't.
I can just see Swifties go, yeah, fire them cannons. Destroy his yacht.
Doing your dirtiest work for you. Every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. What about that?
There's been a few times throughout this album that like harmonising vocals have made it much more interesting and much better. She's done a good job of that.
So was that a track about her becoming a mad woman because of a man? A man had turned her into a mad woman, and then because of that, nobody likes a mad woman, but it's not her fault, the man did it.
I think it's just her admitting that she's a mad woman in moments, to be honest. I think it's just her saying, yes, I am.
I couldn't
I
figure out
am.
if it was her saying, I'm clinically insane, or saying, you've made me a mad woman.
Yeah, maybe it's like, you've kind of made me a mad woman, and now I am. You don't like me because I'm mad.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the last couple songs have really started to let me down a little bit. I enjoyed up to August, the first section of this album, way more than I thought I would. These last couple have felt very phoned in, very repetitive in sound, and just haven't done much for me. I'm starting to get really bored at this point, to be honest, and we've got a few songs left.
Well, with the next one, we might have an epiphany, which is the next track, so let's go.
Church vibes again to start things off. Kind of sounds like a nursery rhyme.
It's a bit spooky, isn't it? Fell off a seat then. Oh! Went too far back.
Sir, I think he's bleeding out.
That's why you shouldn't swing on
She's
your chair.
talking about bleeding out again and flesh wounds and shit.
I feel like this track has potential if they actually start to add in other elements, because we're not even halfway through yet. A little drum beat, maybe a little reaching guitar could go well here, but I'm not hopeful that it's going to appear.
I'd love a drum fill just like da 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 da. But it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen on this track.
But you dream of summer pill.
It sounds like this instrumental would be much better in the background of like a World War II film while they're storming Normandy.
To make some sense of what you've seen.
Yeah, sure. That's
the
so
vibes I get from it.
specific. Only Normandy.
Yeah, no other place.
Nowhere else. Only 20 minutes till this song finishes. Jesus.
I don't hate it as much as you seem to.
Nothing's happened.
No, but I think
It's been threatening us to build to something, and it's just going, ha ha, nope.
it sounds quite cool and epic and unique in comparison to a lot of the album.
Cool and epic and unique.
When I say epic,
The only
I mean,
word of those three that makes sense is unique.
no, epic as in the soundscape of the song is epic, not as in like it's totally epic, as in like
Yeah,
it's
but you
quite
said-
large sounding.
What about cool? What part's cool?
Just quite different.
That's cool.
Yeah, it can be.
All right.
Do you not like the word cool? I feel like
in-
you're
in
offended at
terms
the
of-
song, not at me. So
in terms of
it's
cool,
nearly over.
If you meant by temperature, it feels cold. I'll take that.
I just think if you're listening to this on like a big sound system or at a live show, it would sound quite good. Like the in and out of the organs
It's
and
like
the
a
bass
track
sections.
that you would have on while she was swapping out the people in the back of the stage, or she was changing the fucking back screen or something. Doesn't sound like anything I would ever think, you know what, I'm actively going to put this song on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So let's move on to the next track, which is called Betty.
This has got an explicit tag, so get ready for Taylor to be saying some naughty, naughty words.
I feel like you're really on the hate train at the minute. You need to reset.
No, but the past like 4 or 5 songs
Yeah,
have
they
been
have
really
been pretty
mid.
boring, but keep an open mind. We've got a harmonica coming in here.
I
This
am
could be
keeping an
lit. Are we
open
ready?
mind.
Betty, one time I was riding on my skateboard when I passed your house. It's like I couldn't breathe.
Do you think she can ride a skateboard?
No.
Quick as you've answered.
Definitely not.
It was true. Would you have me? Would you want me?
This is a bit more melodic than the last couple of tracks, though.
Myself, or lead me to the garden. I'm only 17. I don't know anything, but I know I miss you.
She loves to act like she's way younger than she is. This woman is probably near to, or if not in her 30s at this point, and she's
Well, yeah,
still
but she's
talks
just
about
referencing being that age, probably.
the whole album. She's been doing it though.
I know where it all went wrong. Your favorite song was playing from the far side of the gym. The worst thing that
I need that harmonica to come back. That was cool. Sorry, I can't say that word.
I did to you.
Adds a nice dynamic. Adds a bit of something different. Is he coming back now? Yeah. It's like Billy Joel, isn't it? Just always feels like it's about to break through, then it goes, no, we'll calm down again. We'll
I've
come
enjoyed
back
this
down.
though. That
No,
last
it's
section was really
been
nice.
good.
This
I like
has been
those little guitars in the background.
it's like almost a harmonica solo as opposed to anything else for like half the song. I'm hoping this ends with a bang instead of just the same line.
There you go. Step up in the
I
melody.
feel like I've heard that sound before.
Cardigan reference. Car again. That was low-key bars. Cardigan and car again. I was like, you know what? Fair enough.
That's the best song in a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's given it a much-needed influx of something different, rather than it being the same echoey, singy over nothingness. I think the last 4 or 5 tracks genuinely have been... It started off so strong, this album, then it really took a lull, and hopefully these last 3 tracks, we are listening to the deluxe edition, so we have an extra track. But hopefully this keeps the energy as high as it's been and doesn't go back to the lull that it was just in.
And I ask again, if you've got to this point in the video, please hit like and subscribe. It helps us out a bunch. And the fact that we're here listening to Taylor Swift shows our dedication to the craft of music. So if you're a music fan, you'll like the channel. We're on to Peace.
This could be a drill
Sounds
track.
like a trap beat, yeah. Featuring Skepta.
I could see Storms in a Taylor Swift track. I think that would work quite well.
of age is come and gone. Suddenly this summer it's clear.
Not sure if I like the offbeat lyrics.
My convictions.
I don't know what it just needs a bit more.
Keep your brittle
The song's called Peace, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
blues come. All these people think
As soon as you realise that, you're like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah, you're right. I know that it's not gonna, but I'm just hoping.
not a friend in me. Give you a child. Give you the silence that only comes when two people understand each other. Family that I chose now that I see your brother as my brother.
That worked nicely.
That was
I liked
better than
that.
any bars off the Death of Slim Shady.
I like
But there's robbers to the east.
Not even
9 out of
joking.
10.
I'm being
9 out of
serious.
10.
My son, would it be enough if I could never give you peace? Would it be enough?
Outro of repetitive line and then it'll bleed out.
You just won't give him his peas. A fade?
I didn't mind that. It was okay. It changed the vibe up a little bit. I think in comparison to the earlier section after August, it was better.
Yeah, it was a better Karma track than the previous Karma tracks after August.
I'm just going to keep it playing. We're on to Hoax up next.
My only one.
A rare instant vocal.
Gun. My eclipsed sun.
So I would assume this is the second to last track, and the last is the lyrics, which is a bonus track. So this would be closing out the album when it came out at the time. So
Your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in.
Again, this is a Calm track that does Calm better than the previous tracks in the second half of the album. I feel like they were very phoned in calm, whereas this actually feels like there's been some thought put behind it. I'm sure there's thought throughout all the tracks, I'm not saying that. This just feels like it's got a better vibe to it.
No, I left a part of me back in New York.
Bit of bass in there. Another 20-30 second outro, but I think it works nicely on this track, just purely because I love that piano so much.
So that would have been the usual ending to the album, pre-deluxe edition, which seems to only have one track, unless there's others littered throughout that we're not aware of. I think that overall that would have been quite a fitting way to end it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really nice. I think Peace going into Hoax works really nice. They're both, like I was trying to get across there, these are both much chiller tracks that actually do a good job of bringing a calmer and more peaceful vibe. I feel like the vibe was missed slightly on previous Karma tracks after August. Like we say, it kind of fell off there. But if this was the final track, I'd understand.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's good that we've ended what would have been the usual album on a 3-track run that was pretty good. Like Betty going into Peace, going into Hoax, Betty with a bit more energy, then bringing it back down again. So let's see what the bonus track, The Lakes, has to offer. I like the sound already.
I'm not cut out.
I've always liked that, you know, the sound when someone's moving the hand up and down guitar. I don't know why, it just feels like a very visceral sound.
It feels like you're in the room with them.
Me to the lakes where all the poets went to die. What should be over
Build to something, please. Stop teasing us with these builds, man.
and hard stop.
I pray she gives us at least one big crescendo
I've come too far.
that doesn't just immediately die off after 3 seconds.
Those Windermere peaks look like a perfect place.
There's a lot going on in the background here. Loads of different instruments, which is nice.
Those Windermere peaks look like a perfect place.
I do quite like this chorus section. I just pray
Please.
this time.
It's like a sneeze. It's like when you're about to sneeze and it disappears. You're like, oh, god damn it. It's really upsetting, man. Not bad though. I do like this track. I have enjoyed this track, but I wish that it just crescendoed and carried on that level of energy. But looks like we were never gonna get it.
And it's another outro of just
fade it out. Fade it out. 30 seconds, we'll just lower it down. It'll be fine. The track itself, I enjoyed it. I really liked those build-ups. I thought they were really good. I was just a little bit upset, and it's on my personal preference, this, versus it being anything against Taylor Swift's songwriting. I would have loved for at least one of those crescendos to actually have built to something, and for her to be delivering more powerful vocals over a louder back section, but we didn't get that. Still a good track, though.
The album did stay in a similar soundscape for the majority of it. I think especially the first section, then you kind of had a middle which switched it up a bit, and a back end section which went back to the formula, if you will. I've got to admit, this is the first time I've ever listened to this in full, 100%. I've obviously heard a couple of the tracks on the radio in the past from friends and family, etc. But I would say that there were parts of this album that I enjoyed way more than I thought I would. A couple of tracks which I actually quite liked. But there were also parts where, and I think this is maybe to the detriment of having heard Taylor's latest projects, parts where I thought the lyrical content was quite one-dimensional, quite repetitive. But as I say, that is also because her newest album is massively guilty of that. We both listened to that and noticed and picked up upon that. So maybe now listening to this might have been the kind of start of that. So if that is the case, it's a little bit unfair to judge it in that manner. There were some tracks where the lyrics were really good and much deeper, but just somewhere I felt like I was being spoken to by a teacher as opposed to by a person.
There was a lot of tracks where the lyrics were very spoon-fed, where it was like, here's a nice analogy, and by that I mean this. And you're like, you didn't have to add that extra bit of context to it. So me personally, I don't think I've heard a single track from this album at any point. I really don't. And you know what? It wasn't the worst thing in the world. I really didn't dislike it as much as I didn't think I was going to dislike it, because I like to go into music with an open mind. It doesn't matter what artist I'm listening to. I'll always go in with all right, I might enjoy this. This in particular, didn't hate it. It wasn't for me. It clearly wasn't written.
Would you
for
say you
somebody
enjoyed
like
it?
Me. I would say that there was enjoyable parts of this album. I'd say there was a run like in the later middle section that I really didn't like, and I started to get aggressive about the tracks because it started to bore me and annoy me because there was so much potential in the first half. And then the last 3 or 4 songs, including the bonus track, I think really picked it up towards the end. And I think it did a really good job of closing the album out. It was just a real shame of tracks 9 to 12, I think, maybe 13, around there. It really felt like it lulled, and there could have been something a bit different. It felt a lot more, I don't want to say experimental in the way that she was trying different things. It felt like it maybe was unpolished. I don't know. Something about it just didn't feel right. But overall, as an album listening experience, I can completely understand why people enjoy this album.
I agree with you on the kind of feel of the overall track listings. It is that 9 to 13 section which really let it down. But I want to concentrate on the earlier section for a second, because for me, The Last Great American Dynasty, Into Exile, and then like August a little bit later on, they were some real standouts for me. And I enjoyed those way more than I thought I'd ever enjoy a Taylor Swift song. I've got to be honest, I'm really not the biggest fan, but there was parts of this album where I was genuinely impressed and probably will go and re-listen to those songs.
Yeah. I can't say that I'd completely agree in the re-listenability for me personally. However, I do like a couple of the tracks off this album. I think August was probably my favourite, and I think by far Cardigan is my least favourite, purely based on the fact that I think it's the most spoon-feedy. I think the lyrics are the most akin to what kind of stuff she's putting out now that gets clowned on all the time, where it's just obvious lyrics. Something about that track didn't sit right with me, but I think it was quite a good album. Yeah,
me too.
Pleasantly surprised is the terminology I will use.
Thought it was quite good. If you're a fan of Taylor, or even if you're not and you've got to this point in the video, let us know what you thought of this project in the comments. I'm intrigued to know. A lot of our videos are around rock music and pop punk and rap and stuff. So if you're part of our usual audience, you probably have never heard this.
If you're part of our usual audience, you've probably not got this far in the video.
Yeah, true. But as I say, let us know what you think in the comments. Hit like and subscribe, and also give us an album that you'd like us to listen to. If you're a Taylor fan, maybe tell us one that's very different to this, and one day we might get around to listening to that.
Thank you very much for watching.